What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for watching. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I hope none of you guys have to experience, but it's about getting laid off as a software engineer. Now, I used to work for a company called Western Digital, and I'm sure most of you guys have heard of it. If not, they're the #1 manufacturer of hard disk drives. And I was a software engineer there working on the web solutions team. And as a software engineer, you usually feel a sense of security in your job. You know, every year you hear about there are more software engineering jobs opening up than there are people graduating with a software engineering degree. Now, maybe if you're working for a small startup and you don't know if you guys are going to make it or not make it, you might feel a little less secure. But usually when you're working for a big company, you should feel pretty good. However, the company that I was at has been known for laying off employees, and they kind of have rolling layoffs throughout the year. And it's been happening throughout probably the last 5 years as hard disk drives have kind of been going down in demand and SSDs have been coming up in demand and there's more competition in the space. They've had to let go a lot of their staff. They've also had acquisitions of Hitachi and SanDisk, and that has further led to more layoffs. And when I was there, there were definitely people that I knew that were getting laid off. I knew this one girl and she had a full team, and basically every month someone was getting laid off till it was just her and her manager, and then eventually they put them on different teams. And the specific team that I was on had never had a layoff in their history. So in that regard, I felt pretty good. However, on October 18th, 2018 was the day that I was notified that I was let go. And it actually starts the day before, so let me start there. So it was the end of the day, I was getting ready to go home, it was almost 6 o'clock, and then I get an invite from my manager for a meeting the next morning at 9 a.m., which I thought was really strange because first of all, he usually doesn't even come in until 9:30 or 10, but I don't know, I thought maybe he had something to do. We usually do have one-on-ones that day, but I thought he was usually there in the afternoon, and I was like, okay, maybe he had something to do later that day, he wanted to get it over with at the beginning of the day. I don't know. So I go home and I'm like in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe this is something bad. Am I getting laid off? I don't know. But I tried not to think about it too much. Anyways, I go in the next morning and I get to my desk. He's a little bit late. He comes in and he's like, hey, let's go find a room. And I was like, okay, should I bring my laptop with me? And he's like, nah, you won't need it. So I sit down and he starts reading the paper and he's like, due to recent reorganization of the company, we'd have to make certain changes for the benefit of the customer, yada, yada, yada. But they never directly say you're getting laid off. So as I was reading, I was like, okay, I think this is not good news, but I kind of knew what was going on. So yeah, basically he reads that paper off and then he gives me something to sign and basically lets me know that today is going to be my last working day at the company. So I was sitting there kind of just it felt pretty surreal. I was kind of like, is this really happening? Am I actually getting laid off from my job? Because you hear about it or someone that it happened to, but you never actually think that it's going to happen to you. So when it happens, it was definitely a surreal feeling. So before I sign the paper, he tells me about the severance package that I'm going to be getting. And he basically says that, so I was getting laid off mid-October. However, I was going to stay on their payroll for 2 months. So basically I'd be getting paychecks for the next 2 months. I also get to keep all my benefits throughout the end of December. So I get, healthcare, dental, etc. I still get my employee stock purchase program till then. So, it definitely gave me a buffer zone to try and find a new job. So along with keeping my benefits, they also gave me a severance of a lump sum in the amount of about $7,000. So that was really nice. So overall, I wasn't going to be working mid-October. However, I was getting paid for about 2 months plus the severance, which was about 2 or 3 extra months as well. So it definitely gave me time to kind of still have a steady income, but also look for positions. So he tells me about all that. And at that point, I'm like, I don't really know what to say. Obviously I was like, obviously I'm disappointed. But thank you guys for the opportunity. And, I don't really know what else to say. I was just, I was pretty quiet actually. So we're walking out and he's like, you know what, you're a good engineer, you're a smart guy. I'm very confident that you'll find something very quickly. And, shook my hand and that was it. And apparently that day there was 300 people getting laid off. So it was a huge day for the company and it wasn't just me. So, it didn't really make me feel any better or worse, but it was just a huge layoff that day. So I put all my things in my car, I drive home, and I get home and it's still like 10 a.m. So that was a really weird feeling. The first thing I did was actually send an email to all my coworkers, just thank them for, being great engineers, being very helpful. And, I just wanted to do that before they took my email away. And then at that point, I was just kind of sitting there, and it was actually the weirdest thing. The thing that I was feeling the most was relieved. And I think that's because it wasn't the best cultural fit for me. My personalities didn't really mesh well with a lot of the people that were working there. And just the work side of things had gotten so crazy at that time that I basically didn't have to worry about any of that stuff ever again. So it was really strange. I would have thought that maybe I would have been really stressed out that I didn't have a job, but it was more of a relief thing. And I was really confident that I was going to be able to find a job fairly quickly. However, that didn't really happen. I wish I could be up here and be like, yeah, I got a job the next Monday and I started, but it actually took me 8 months to find a new job. So 8 months is a long time, and I actually did have an offer in there that I ultimately turned down, but just kind of that whole 8 months that I was going through was pretty crazy, and I could even probably save that for another video. But yeah, it definitely took me a while. I did find something, and it was something that was actually a lot higher pay than I was getting at my previous job. And so far I've been there a couple months, and it's a lot more organized. It's a lot less stress so far. So we'll see how that goes. And with that being said, that's the story of me getting laid off. It was a pretty crazy experience. I hope that it doesn't happen to anyone. I hope it doesn't happen to myself again. But if it does, then I've already been through it, and I'll have even more experience now. I'll probably hopefully get a job faster than before. And I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. It was a negative experience for me, so I usually try to keep my videos more positive, but I definitely wanted to just get it out there and not talk about it anymore. All right, that's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you're not a subscriber, I do a lot of these types of videos. I also do coding tutorials from time to time, and I plan to have a lot more videos coming in the future. So yeah, that's going to be all. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys next time.